For those who've been following the Gavin Peterson case, we have the final chapter. Gavin got justice. So if you're unfamiliar with this particular case, you can definitely check out my playlist about Gavin Peterson, but the short version, this is sweet little Gavin Peterson who passed away in July of 2024. He had been homeschooled, big huge, air quotes there, for over a year. Once the school started reporting things to DCFS, there were multiple reports. Laws need to clearly be changed to allow better investigations, but they decided to pull him from school and homeschool him. And then the following July, he was found non-responsive, and turns out that his father, stepmother, and adult brother all contributed to his passing in horrific ways. Now, his father and stepmother both pled guilty, thank heavens, and they both got the maximum sentences. Now, his brother, again, an adult, but a young adult, they waited on his sentencing, even though he pleaded guilty as well. His father, Shane Peterson, who pled guilty, and then this is his stepmother, Nicole Lee Scott. She also pled guilty. It appears that the family was very schmusive, platform-friendly words, hopefully, for many, many years. The DCFS reports on Gavin go back to when he was even about a year old, but things got really, really bad in that last year or so. He was 12 when he passed, and he looked, in my eyes, about like 8 or 9. He was just tiny, scrawny, and he died of sepsis, organ failure, and infections that had been untreated. And it was hard to know which infection and which wound was where the infection that he passed came from. He was also dehydrated. He had pneumonia. There were so many contributing factors, in addition to bruises and video of him being horrifically beaten. He was starved. He was kept in one room. So this here is his brother, Tyler, when he was originally appearing in court. When he was sentenced, we'll show a video of that in a moment. He's gained some weight in jail, which happens. It seems like not the best food. But his sentencing was postponed because they said he had some possibly developmental issues, autism, something. So they were doing some tests to see essentially how culpable he was with his actions. So during the sentencing, his mother tried very hard to plead for him and say, he was brainwashed from a young age. This was not his doing. His lawyer tried. That was a letter that was read by his mother's lawyer, but his lawyer said that he did these things because the stepmother told him to, because he didn't want to be punished himself. If he didn't do these things, that he would be the one locked up in the room wearing a diaper and being starved. And while the judge admitted that that was part of it, sure, there were plenty of opportunity for Tyler to not participate to the level that he did. There was plenty of times when he was home alone with Tyler and was beating him. There was even a time where the two of them were left at home when the rest of the family went to Disneyland, which I'm sure would be upsetting to any older sibling. Then he took a lot of it out on Gavin. So there's videos of him and evidence of him beating his brother while the family was gone and there were no parents around to step or otherwise to tell him that he needed to do this or else. Camille Nieder, who I love her as a judge, you need to go watch the sentencing for Nicole and Shane, the father and stepmother, because the judge, she said this is the hardest case she's ever had in her career. She got choked up and had tears because this was so incredibly horrific. So she said that Tyler shared responsibility. She said, I have no evidence that you didn't know right from wrong based on the circumstances. She admitted that it's very clear you weren't the alpha in the family. His mother, in part of her letter, she said, I know Tyler would never do this on his own. He's brainwashed from a young age. His lawyers described the house as horrific nature, what happened in the house, which, But there was a text that this pisses me off. In 2023, the school reported that he had an infection. His stepmother says he does this bleeping for attention and I bleeping hate it and it makes me hate him more and more, exclamation point. Oh yeah, he just gets infections just to piss everybody off. That makes sense. So Gavin was never seen at the school again. Prosecutors found that he had been kept in one room, door locked, no bed, no access to the bathroom. If he was given anything to consume, it was maybe half a glass of water, a piece of bread with mustard on it. He hated mustard, so that was actually a punishment. The prosecutors called it nothing short of a prolonged death camp. Another element that showed his complicity is that on the day that he was found unresponsive and that 911 was finally called, there's plenty of evidence that Tyler, tried hiding cameras with evidence. He was replacing a doorknob so that it didn't look that Gavin had been locked in. He was trying to mislead police on what was actually going on. He was complicit. Let's just put it that way. So let's look at part of the sentencing video.
All rise.
Speaking to a full courtroom, 2nd District Court Judge Camille Nieder called the Gavin Peterson case the most difficult of her 31 years.
But the bottom line is these facts are awful.
Before issuing her sentence, Judge Nieder addressed Tyler Peterson directly, saying he had multiple opportunities to make different choices.
You had an opportunity to not engage in the behavior that you engaged in. You were an active participant since 2020. There's no doubt about all of that.
The judge's remarks followed arguments from Tyler's attorney that the 23-year-old was a victim of years of abuse and manipulation himself.
When Nicole said jump, he said how high? And why did he say that? Because he didn't want to be in that room like Gavin.
Read by a victim's advocate, Tyler's mom, through a letter in court, also urged the judge to show her son mercy.
I respectfully ask that you consider to let Tyler continue his treatment at home in a positive, loving environment. He won't get that in prison.
But prosecutors argued that Tyler's actions went beyond survival, citing text messages and videos.
Gavin was found with multiple bruises on his body from beatings. Thumb pictures recovered show Tyler kicking and beating Gavin, all on his own.
In the end, the judge acknowledged the complexity of the case, but said justice for Gavin had to come first.
The scales of justice outweigh the side of the scale that reflects mercy.
So yeah, I do feel bad for Tyler. He too was a victim and a perpetrator. So he is eligible for parole, unlike Shane and Nicole, the father and stepmother. They are not eligible for parole, and they also have restraining orders. They cannot contact any of the children forever, no matter what. But Tyler, in theory, could get out at some point. Again, Utah, I've mentioned this in many videos, as frustrating as it is, the Utah law tends to have a low minimum and then up to life, and is the parole board that actually makes those final decisions. So it's 5 years to life. I would be stunned if it ends up being only 5 years. It almost never is. It's like on the books, 5 years to whatever. I would suspect he will be there for at least 10 to 15 minimum. That's my guess. We shall find out for sure. But this is the final chapter for now, until we find out if and when he gets parole years and years down the road. But Gavin finally got justice. And I'm happy for him for that. Rest in peace, Gavin. Rest in peace, little guy.